All right, I believe that we are now live. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Brittany Jennings coming to you live from the Seniors Blue Book. And today I am joined by a wonderful group of professionals here in the local area. So we've got Melissa from Secure Aging. Good afternoon.
Hello, how are you?
Doing wonderful. And we've got Renee, and she is from LSF.
Hello, everyone.
You're out at the beach.
I am. No, not really.
Are you wearing your sunscreen and drinking your water?
That's right.
And Matt Matich from the Matich Law Firm. Good afternoon.
Hey, everyone. Good afternoon.
So this is, I was telling them I'm super excited before we got here live, is that now we're on Zoom live, which is something new that I figured out. And so bear with us for this first time of technology upgrade, if you will. Today I want to focus on the topic of scams. And as Melissa says, I like that you call them fraudsters. During this vulnerable time right now, everybody's, we've talked about anxiety and stress is way high, and that there is almost like a little bit of a probably higher vulnerability right now going on. And so I think a lot of the fraudsters have taken advantage of this time, and we just want to be able to prepare people for some of those new scams that are happening, and of course, just ways to protect yourself, just some of the basics. And what better to have this crew here with us who we've done this topic, I think, a couple times through different in-person ones. So we're taking it over Zoom, everybody.
All right.
So let's get over to Melissa. Why don't you kick us off and tell us a little bit about yourself and Secure Aging, and then we'll kind of go around and introduce each other and jump right into that topic.
Okay, great. Thanks, Brittany. Yeah, so Secure Aging is a geriatric care management company. We do financial care management and healthcare management for our seniors. So my background is I'm a CPA by training, and early in my career, I was a fraud investigator. So educating seniors on potential scams is something that is very near and dear to my heart, and it's just something that I really enjoy doing. Our company helps seniors on the financial care side just with their everyday things like sorting the mail, getting their bills paid, insurance disputes, helping them understand the proper insurance. And then on the health side for care management, we help with advocating. And so that could be assisting with doctor's appointments. That could be helping them with wellness visits. And one of the main things that we do, which has really become prominent during this time, is keeping families connected and just making sure that we're able to help our seniors here in Florida who don't have family members here in the state, just make sure that they're able to keep in contact, because it's a really tough thing to do right now with the lockdowns in the communities.
Absolutely. I mean, what you do on a normal basis besides this, I was so important. And I think a lot of people, like even me, like I don't even like reading my own mail, or nobody likes paying their bills, but it's such a necessary service, and you have such I'm gonna use the word stellar background,
Yeah.
Such experience to handle that. So thank you so much for being with us today.
You bet. Thanks for having us, Brittany.
Absolutely. And let's jump down to the beach there at Lido. Renee, tell us a little bit about LSF.
Hi, I'm Renee with Ellis Lutheran Services, Florida, Adult Advocacy Services. That is still so hard to get used to. We do case management and guardianship, and these wonderful people that are my partners in this refer people to us for guardianship as well as for case management and help represent us in things that we need to. Guardianship is pretty explanatory. It's when someone needs additional, they are not able to make their own decisions, they're been deemed incapacitated, or they come to us as someone that wants to have a voluntary guardian, which we have a few of those that say, we're just at a point in our life, at an age in our life that we just can't do this by ourselves anymore. We really need someone to be there. We know that we're going to eventually, maybe they have early onset dementia or something, and they're going to eventually need a guardian. So let's get that in place now so that they can build a rapport and a relationship with that, so that they know that their wishes and their wants are taken care of. And case management is very similar to the guardianship, except that you do have to have capacity to sign the contract for that. But again, it can be the same thing. We can help with your finances. We can help with your medical. We can do everything that you need done to help you move forward in life and to make sure that you're protected so that you don't fall victim of one of these scams that we're going to talk about today. So
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And let's go over to Matt. Tell us
Thanks,
about,
Brittany.
absolutely. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your law firm.
Sure. I'm Matt Matich. I'm the owner and attorney at the Matich Law Firm. We're in Sarasota. However, we work cases throughout Sarasota County, Manatee County, and down into Charlotte now as well. Our primary focus areas are estate planning. So that would encompass, getting your ducks in order, so to speak. Things like wills, trusts, powers of attorney, healthcare advance directives, getting those in place. For anybody really, you don't necessarily have to be a senior. Anybody can take advantage of these documents, and they're beneficial. I also do a lot of work with guardianship, as Renee spoke to just now. And, that's really kind of a unique practice area. There's a lot of interesting press going around, but the bottom line is, we could get somebody help who needs it, and there's strict court oversight to make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to. And in the event of a scam or an exploitation, people who are especially vulnerable could really benefit from a guardianship. So that's something we work with a lot. And then, finally, I do elder law generally. So types of issues that impact especially our senior populations and some of the unique needs they have, we can handle those type of affairs. So Matt Matich, again, happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. Why don't we kind of jump right into it? And I think we'll kick things off with Melissa. Again, you are such an expert on this topic, so we're excited to have you kick things off for us.
Sure, thank you. It's interesting because usually when we're out talking, we're talking about the top 10 senior scams. And so, this is a little bit different because today we're going to talk specifically about what are the scams that have been most prominent during this COVID crisis. And Renee's going to talk about some of those specific scams. But what I really want to focus on is, we really have the perfect storm here when it comes to public crisis. And we've got a combination of people who are awaiting stimulus checks. We've got people who are at home. They're either working from home like all of us today, or they're just at home. They could be in lockdown. They could be self-quarantining. Kids are at home. And so you've got a situation where people are obviously more likely to be checking messages that come in, whether that be a text message or an email, because they're bored. They might think that it's a family member who's texting them or calling them or sending them an email. So we're more likely to be very reactive when we hear that, ding, ding, or whatever ringtone you have on your phone go off. And so that creates the perfect world for these fraudsters. I think what's important is, some things that we're going to talk today are very specific to COVID. And those are some of the examples of the scams. However, the primary focus that these fraudsters or hackers or criminals have is the same. So they're basically still looking for two things: your personal identifying information, we call it PII, and that can be the combination of any two things that personally identify you. It could be your name and your birth date. It could be your name and your address. They want to get any information that they can. They're most often looking for your social security number or banking information. So they're after PII, personal identifying information, and money, right? So that's what this is all about. So when we're usually talking about the top 10 senior scams, they're after PII and money. And today we're going to talk about COVID scams, and they're after the same thing. The thing that I would say is what we're talking about today is not just targeted at seniors. So we are all at home. We're all susceptible to the scams that are happening right now. Some of the statistics that I saw are, as early as January, the beginning of January, the FTC has put out some statistics, and they said that from January 1st to March 20th, they've received 14,000 coronavirus complaints coming into them, and they have estimated that so far there's been $10 million lost in financial exploitation or through these scams related to COVID specifically. And think about that. That's really just January 1st to March 20th. That's not even a full 3 months, and they've got $10 million already. So they're focusing on trying to instill fear. They're trying to get you to take immediate action, and Renee will talk about some of these examples again. And they're trying to get you through texts and phone calls and emails, because they're trying to penetrate your home. And so, I think that some of the advice that I would give, because we always talk about trying to help identify situations where there's a fraud, there's an attempt of fraud, right? Trying to give you sort of anecdotally what you should look for. So what I always share is look for requests that are time bound. So somebody wants you to do something within the next 15 minutes, or somebody wants you to click on a link now. But also look for things specifically related to COVID. Like we're all trying to track the COVID numbers. So if you're getting links to download, an app to track COVID, you shouldn't really be, you should be going to, the Google store, looking at the apps. But if it then takes you to another website, that's probably problematic. So there have been 30,000 requests for COVID web domains in the last 8 weeks. And so the investigators so far have found that, let's see, I have the numbers, 131 of those they know for sure are malicious. And then there's another 3,000 that they're investigating. So there are 30,000 web domains out there related to COVID. There's a good chance that many of those are going to be malicious, or if you end up, clicking into them, they're going to try to get your information. Okay. So I would say when it comes to, how do you protect yourself? Really maybe just try to pause at some point. And, the more that you have time to think versus react, the better of a chance that you have for these fraudsters not being able to get the information that they're looking for. I think when it comes to just everyday life, so I have an example. I have an example about a client who, I'm back. Thanks, Brittany. I have an example about a client where somebody was going to get some errands for them. So this client is in a lockdown community. We're typically helping this client to pay their bills and to get some, items and supplies that they need. But now we're doing that sometimes through some of the aides at the community. So the client called me and asked me to bring him his checkbook, which was locked in the safe in my office. And I said, what are you going to be using your checkbook for? He's 89 years old. He said, well, when someone goes to the store, I want to be able to pay them. And I said, do you have your debit card on you? And he said, yes. And I said, good. Don't use that debit card. Don't give the debit card to someone ever, right? So that's just something that a lot of our clients are being, very free with whatever resources they have to let people help them. And that's a good thing, but giving someone a check and reimbursing them for what they purchased from you is going to be a lot better than just giving someone access to your account information, because you're holding the check until they come back and give you a receipt. So that's just an example of something that happens in everyday life, right? Just to get needs met right now. So when it comes to the COVID stuff, I'm actually going to let Renee talk a little bit more about some of the, the top scams, but just keep in mind that they're after your money and they're after your personal identifying information. And that's what's most important.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing.
Sure.
Yeah. And I agree with everything that you're saying. And that's one of where it leads into some of these frauds, because again, that is the biggest thing that they're looking for is your social security number, your important information, your credit card numbers, anything that they can get that they can utilize. Robocalls are one of the biggest. When you get a robocall, when it's talking about anything, but especially now with COVID, if they tell you to press a button and we're going to take you to a live person, or press this button and you'll get additional information, don't press the buttons, because it's just going to lock you into a system where they can either get in more information from you, or they're going to take you to more robocalls. It's just never press the buttons on these automated calls. Another one, I'm just going to talk about this one a little bit because I just discovered this myself the last couple of days, and it really is a little bit frightening. And it's not really so much that it's a scam, but it's so much that, especially, and this is more pertaining to our elders that may not understand everything about loans and that sort of thing. But I've come across a couple of articles that's talked about how some older people had went to their finance companies, their banks, their mortgage companies, and have discussed with them, we're in a tight spot right here where, my husband that was working, that's, 70 years old, is now no longer to work. We don't have the extra funds. What can we do to work with our mortgage? And they've told them, oh yeah, you cannot pay for 3 months. But what they didn't tell them was at the end of those 3 months, when this is over on the other side, now you're going to be faced with having to come up with all this money at one time. If they don't have it now, they're not going to have it in 3 months. So in 3 months from now, when you're told you have to come up with $6,000 or whatever that figure might be, you've now become a target to potentially lose your home. So really make sure that you're getting good information and accurate information when you're trying to talk to your mortgage companies and your lenders, and find out if there's other ways to help this. Can we, put this on the back end of the loan? Can we get a postponement? Can we get a deferral? Not just can we, oh yes, you cannot make your payment for 3 months, but then you're going to be required. I mean, I know a lot of the water companies and the electric companies and all, your cell phone companies, all these companies are doing that. And they're saying, please try to make as much, make payments as much as you can during this time period. But in reality, what's going to happen in the end is we're going to all be forced to come up with, those 3 months of that phone bill that you didn't pay and at one time. So really think about this as you're going, I know we're all in that situation where you may not be getting the funds, but think about it as you're going through and realize that you may be in a situation in 3 months from now where you're going to really be pressed for that information and be pressed for those dollars that you may not have, and may have to make some tough decisions at that point. So start thinking about that now. I know a lot of the attorney generals throughout are also asking for people not to, urging people not to respond to emails and text messages, phone calls, letters about the COVID, especially about the stimulus package. That has become the big hot ticket right now. There's so much scams going on regarding the stimulus package. And, you've got to send in your information. We've got to have your social security number. We've got to have this. We've got to have that. The IRS is not going to call you asking for your information. They're not ever going to do that. And they have set a link up for those that don't have automatic deposit. They've set a link up directly on their website that you can go to and can put your information in, not through an intermediary, so that the links that you're going to, and make sure it's a secured link. And I know Matt will probably talk about this, making sure that in your interactions are with secured links and so forth, because that's so important. Just make sure that anything that you're doing that's ever got your information, your social security numbers, your credit card numbers, your driver's license numbers, anything that you have to have is completely unsecured links. Because I know that's a lot of times where we can get in trouble real quick, because people can really hijack those links and that information if you're not on secured link through. And always initiate that yourself. Don't click through a link in an email. Always initiate those direct contacts yourself, because again, that's just another way that you're going to get caught up in the midst of a scam. Another big thing that's going on is they're sending out information or telling people there's a fee or cost for you to get your stimulus. There's not a fee or cost. These are coming from the government. You don't have to pay to get what you have coming to you. And again, please be careful with any links that may tell you that. Even this is another one that I just found out about today, as a matter of fact. They've already started with phone calls from the hospitals claiming that your loved one, this is like a grandparent scam. Your loved one is in the hospital and we've got to have direct payment right now in order to treat them. They have COVID and there's no way that, we just can't take care of them and treat them until we get, X amount of dollars. And so again, we're back to what Melissa said, the fear factor, and just trying to scare you into doing something right now. So the hospital's not going to call you and tell you that we've got to have money. They're just not going to do that. So again, be careful with all of these types of phone calls. Another one is get in on the ground floor of the vaccination. Send us your $5 to help promote this vaccination fee, or your $20, or your $49.99 if we'll send you a test kit. So there is no test kit, number one, and anybody that tells you that we're going to send you a vaccination or a test kit at home, that none of that is happening. So again, the biggest thing that I can say about this is be cognizant, pay attention. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. They're even scamming people on, the websites ordering supplies. They're saying that we have all these things in stock and send us, you place your order and then you never get your material, you never get your supplies, and they've kept your money and there's no way to target it. So again, anything that because we are all having to do a lot of online ordering and we understand that, make sure that who you're ordering from is a reputable organization. That again, if it's something that looks too good to be true, it probably is not true. So, even though Target may be a little bit more, Walmart or whoever you might order from, that they're reputable, and just be careful. Don't go with some company that you might not have any information about. Always do your research. Make sure that it's a legitimate organization before you pay them your money, because once it's gone, you can't get it back. So, and I know with that, I'm going to let Matt take over and give some of the backside of, being secure and making sure that we're all doing our due diligence on that side of it.
Yeah, thanks, Renee, and thanks, Melissa. I'll probably mostly be seconding a lot of the things that the two of you said, because it is good advice. And I like to, I guess, give maybe three sort of general areas of guidance when it comes to these topics. And number one is protect your digital home. And that's what this is, these piles of data we have all over. Protect your digital home in the same manner you would your physical home. And I mean that sincerely. And we can think about the analogy: if you're sitting at home, like we all are right now, and someone comes up to your door, rings the doorbell, you open it up, and they're saying, "Hey, I've got, sign here, give me your name, your address, your social, your birthday, whatever it is. And I'll come back tomorrow with a gallon of hand sanitizer for you and your loved ones." Your alarm bells are gonna go off, and you're gonna think, I don't know that I should do this. And then when that person says, "You got to let me inside so we could sign these forms," are you going to do that? No, of course we're not going to do that, because what we're allowing is that individual to have access to our personal information and our private lives. And we're just not going to do that. We know better. And the same applies to our digital homes today. Many of us have microphones or cameras, all over our house with our phones or our Alexas or our fancy doorbells. Our banking information is not just stored in a fire safe somewhere right now. It's online. And so it's the same sort of thing that happens if someone comes to you with an unsolicited offer. Ignore it, because they're trying to get information. They're trying to gain access to your digital home. And they're going to be up to no good. So let's secure our digital homes in the same manner that we would our physical homes, because it's a lot of the same vulnerabilities are there. And then number two, which is related, and Renee and Melissa both touched on this: if you did not purchase something, or you did not explicitly reach out for something, don't click that email or that text or that Facebook message that's coming in. Just trust me, and this is unfortunate, but you are not going to be the one who is entitled to the 10 gallons of hand sanitizer or the 100 masks or the vaccine or the cure or whatever's being pitched right now. We're all we want these things to happen. We want to, be safe and healthy, and we're hoping for that big break, and we want it to be us. But if it's coming through an email or a phone call or a text and you didn't ask for it, as a general rule, ignore it. Delete it, don't open it, do not click the links. And these are all good practices to follow generally, and especially now, since a lot of these cyber criminals, if you will, are out there, and they know we're more vulnerable, and they're taking advantage of that. And it's terrible. And a third piece of advice we could focus on right now is, we're all making so much effort to have good personal hygiene, right? We're washing our hands, we're using the hand sanitizer, we're using the mask when we're out, we're practicing social distancing, and that's great, and it's keeping us safe, and it's helping us get over this thing as a community. So while we're home and while we're at our computers and our devices, let's take a moment to also practice good digital hygiene. Make sure just basic things. Make sure you've got that reputable antivirus. Make sure you've got a firewall. Make sure you're aware of what email addresses you're using for what. Have some password diversification. This is a good time while we're all home right now to review our digital hygiene and make sure we're clean and make sure we're being healthy. Let's take advantage and get that done and live a more secure life. And the other thing, a piece of specific advice I wanted to second was with regard to the links. Always do everything you can to make sure you're going directly to a government website if you're doing something like applying for a small business loan or stimulus or whatever the situation might be. It's just not good practice to Google what you're looking for and then click something in the Google list, because there are some very skilled folks out there who are going to make websites that look like what you expect, and it's not, and you're giving your information to the wrong people. So be judicious about what you click, when, and why, and be proactive with your clicks. And by that I mean know what you're clicking, that you went there because you wanted to be there, not the other way around, somebody coming to you. On a legal side, something you could do to help out and just make sure you're staying safe is that, you can put in, for example, maybe a power of attorney agent, a very trusted family member or professional or colleague or friend who you could empower to perhaps, help you watch over your bank accounts, something like that. This is a document we could put together and even sign and notarize online right now for the most part. We practice good social distancing. And a lot of times these type of estate planning documents, folks think of a car accident or some sort of health emergency, and they think, well, that's when I'm going to need that power of attorney. That's when I'll need the help. How about a virus invades our country and you're stuck at home and you need a second pair of eyes on, your assets, or you just need a little help? This is the type of situation where these documents can be helpful. So again, protect your digital home the same way that you would protect your personal home. If you didn't click it, if you didn't seek this out, and you get a solicited offer, don't click it. Go straight to your trash box. And then let's take advantage of this opportunity to practice digital hygiene while we're focusing on our personal hygiene.
I love it. Go right ahead.
I'd like to add one more thing to what Matt just said. As he was saying, and it really struck me, when you were talking about Googling websites and just clicking on them, know the difference between .com, .org versus .gov, because IRS is going to always be .gov. I just sat here while we were talking and Googled irs.com, and it comes up as a website. Now, it does say that they are not part, but they make it look very closely like they're part of the regular IRS. Even, the red banner across the bottom that, the extension has been made for filing your taxes this year. So if you're not paying attention, it would be very easily to move right into that type of a website. So really, when you're typing in your websites, make sure that you're typing in the right whatevers, because that can make all the difference in the world.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Can I add just one more thing that I thought of also when Matt was talking about Google lookups is, we're all inundated with the ability to donate to charitable organizations right now. And our seniors get these requests constantly. But right now, and for good reason, there are times when we want to be able to give. However, charitable organizations are one of the key, hot pits for these fraudsters. So you can go to give.org, give.org, or guidestar.org, guidestar.org. And both of those are connected to the Better Business Bureau, and you can look up the name of the charity that you want to donate to and confirm that it's a legitimate charity. So that's another good tip if you do want to donate right now.
And I'll add that to the post afterwards so that people can check that out, because you're all making just fantastic points. Because even like I remember the first scam that I actually almost fell for was similar to like you're talking about the hospital ones right now, where they're saying, oh, we can't treat your loved one unless you wire us $5,000 by the end of today. I remember working at a senior living community 5 years ago, and I got an email from a daughter of one of my residents. It sounded so legit that, you know, they were down in a different country on vacation and they got robbed, and they needed money to be wired through. And, you know, it, like, at that time, that was a new scam.
Yeah.
But even now, like, you know, they're so believable when they call and they have names of your kids, your grandkids, whoever it might be.
Yeah. It's a great example.
Or pretend to have names and wait for you to tell them the name and then they confirm it. I always tell when we talk about this, is one of the things that I always say to people is ask them, oh, am I talking to little Johnny, or am I talking to you know, Beth, and give them a false name. And if they agree with you, oh yes, Grandpa, you're talking to Johnny, then you know immediately that it's a scam. You don't even have to go any further and just immediately hang up on them. Because
exactly.
And Renee, that's a good point too. You know, just hang up.
Exactly.
Honestly, you don't need to be polite. There are oftentimes someone on the other end of the line who is very skilled, social engineer, who will keep you talking and get you to feel comfortable. So do not feel the need to wish them a good day, wish them well, ask how they're doing with the virus. As soon as you've identified that this is a scam or even an unsolicited caller, just do the thing to be safe and hang up. I think it's perfectly okay. I don't think it's rude in that situation.
Right. That's a great point, Matt. Or don't answer the phone if you don't know who's calling.
There you go, even better.
Sometimes just by answering the call, they can confirm that that's an active phone number and they can connect it to you. So, you know, I think that it's hard to do that right now when, you know, the phone rings. You're kind of waiting with bated breath to see who's calling. And so, you know, my senior clients are always answering the phone, and that's where 70% of the scams come from. But to Matt's point, you know, stop, drop, and hang up. That's what we always say.
Sure.
And we have to remember that if it's a legitimate phone call, they're going to leave a message. I'm not going to call somebody legitimately and not leave a message. I had a reason for calling them. If it's a legitimate phone call, they're going to leave you a message. If they don't, then you don't need the phone call.
Correct.
That's right.
Well, I want to thank each of you for coming on today. I really appreciate always all your knowledge and expertise on everything that you do, including scams. This is just like an extra on top of what you already do. So I have a crying puppy in the background. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but it's not me crying.
Is that the new one?
The puppy has awoken from her nap.
Oh my goodness.
So I again want to thank you for coming on, and I'll put all of your information in the post so that if anybody has any questions specifically for you or about the services that you provide, that they can reach out to you directly.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for watching.
Hope everybody has a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.